So, hi, everybody. I am doing a few interviews with folks that might be able to give us some insight into COVID-19 and how it's affecting the community in different ways. So, today we are joined by my brother, Travis Lewis, and I'm going to let him introduce himself on like what his position is, and then we'll talk a little bit. So, Travis, introduce yourself.
Travis. Um, I work for a municipal fire department. We do fire and EMS in Virginia. We're a fairly large department, a little over 500. Not real big for big city means, but a decent size. Yeah, like I said, we do both fire and EMS. So.
Okay. And how do you feel like now that like COVID-19 is happening and we have social distancing practices and this is a very contagious virus, like what changes have you seen in your department to protect workers, but also to identify cases in the community or respond to calls that you get?
So the county, not we, the county and the department leadership has done a lot of protocols. So there's a whole, almost a task force. They've changed protocols, the way we do things, for significant calls, cardiac arrests and respiratory arrests and things like that, breathing difficulties because of the way it's spread. They've changed a lot in our PPE protocols with what we're wearing and how often and when. We've started every morning. Well, for us, every morning there's a schedule that comes out every day. Let's go get the medic units disinfected. Every morning they go in and we take it over to whatever hazmat station, depending on what side of the county we're on, and get it disinfected. And they've done quite a bit of stuff for us, just for us, and that's not including police and other county members.
Yeah, and I think that we're all kind of feeling a lot of gratitude to the people who are frontline workers and essential workers right now. So definitely first responders like you, and healthcare workers, but then we also have like waste management workers, custodians, grocery store workers, like all of those people who are taking a higher risk to keep everybody safe and to get them the basic needs met, all of that kind of stuff, so that everybody else can like kind of shelter at home or stay at home and be healthy at home. So I know you said before too, when we talked in the past, like a couple of weeks ago, that y'all had initiated kind of a protocol of like only one person in the back of the ambulance too, when somebody was suspected.
It reaches to, so it starts in communications. They put, our 911 system is police based. So the police kind of are in control of the 911 system. So they've started putting liaisons, if you will, into the ECC, into communications to kind of triage calls, if you will. So they talk to the caller and ask them, they have a specific list of questions, cough, fever, been out of the country, things like that, to assign it a risk level, if you will. And then they ask the patient, do you have a mask? Can you put a mask on before we make contact? Can you go to the door and meet the EMS crews at the door instead of us going into the house and, getting exposed potentially? And it's all based on, so if you call and you haven't had a fever, you have no cough, let's say you just, you tripped and broke your arm, then we're not as concerned, obviously, as if you say, I'm having difficulty breathing, I've been coughing for a couple days, I got a fever right now, then we're gonna put the N95s on and the gowns and the gloves and send one person in the house if you can't come outside to assess whether they can get you out or not. And then if it takes two, then it takes two. We're just trying to minimize or limit exposures to us as much as possible. So we only send in, because before it was, we all just walk up in the house and find out what was going on, and it wasn't really that big of a deal. But now they're trying to limit exposures for everybody, because we go into the hospital, we expose more people in the hospital, things like that, just through the daily travels. We don't want to pick it up on our first call and drop it off on the rest of the calls throughout the day.
And at what point do you take somebody to the hospital if they're displaying symptoms?
So we take anybody that wants to go. We don't tell anybody that they can't go. We have been more suggestive to tell people that they don't necessarily need to go, because it's more dangerous in the ER than it is anywhere else. Excuse me. So we and that's all started. That's all started in the ECC also.
What does ECC stand for?
I don't know. Communication Center.
Yeah. Emergency Communication Center, like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably what it is. Yeah. So that all starts with them.
Okay, and then now that, okay, so I have family, right? Because you're my brother, so you have my two nephews and my niece and my sister-in-law at your home. And I know that there are things that we are doing for like healthcare workers and first responders and people who might be exposed. What are you doing to kind of protect your family, or what kind of things do you think about then when you leave your job and you go home at night, or sometimes early morning, depending on your shift, I suppose?
Well, yeah, 7's when I get to go home in the morning, 7 to 7. So I don't wear my uniforms home. Wear regular clothes in, and then when I leave, I take a shower, and then go home in my regular clothes, just to not bring anything home that was at the station. And we disinfect the station in the mornings, normal house chores. We maybe hit a little bit harder with the Lysol, and wash my hands, and just wearing the PPE on the calls. We do a pretty good job of kind of protecting ourselves with putting a mask on the patient, some type of barrier on the patient, and then barriers on us, and then, disinfecting, whatever you want to call it, the ambulance, the equipment. And I think really we've always done a pretty good job with that. I mean, after every call, we're wiping stuff down, and not necessarily for us, but for other people too, who are going to use that equipment on. So basically just showering before I go home is really it used to be I'd go home and shower at home, not worry about it, but now
and
it's safer to do here.
You have stuff there to wash, to do all the laundry. So if you're leaving clothes there, y'all have
washer and dryer and all that stuff here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was really informative, and I'm glad that you took the time to talk with me today. I think people are interested to kind of know what it looks like on the other side of what the workers are doing that might be having to respond in different ways to COVID-19 right now.
I mean, I can't speak for, any other locations other than ours, but I would say that most places are probably following a lot of guidelines.
Fire Medic 7.
That's me,
7.
as a matter of fact.
Okay.
We're doing a lot. It's not necessarily a lot with me, but it's more communications and protocols and things like that are being done to protect everybody.
Okay, well, I'll let you go back to work. I love you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.